Welcome, everyone. My name is Katie Balonis. I'm the Philanthropic Partnerships Associate here at the Pitzer Foundation, and I run the one-day Critical Needs Alert, which is run by the Pitzer Foundation, the Community Foundation of Westmoreland County. Thank you all for joining us today as we talk about getting your fundraising tools and strategies up and running for August 4th. So I'm joined today by Claire Percoco from Mighty Cause. She was our lovely speaker at our last webinar that we did 2 weeks ago on getting started. That webinar, so everyone is aware, is the recording is available on the Nonprofit Toolkit page of the Pittsburgh Gives website. We are going to be recording this webinar as well and posting that to the site as well on the Nonprofit Toolkit page. So it'll be a one-stop shop for you to get any kind of reminders, or if you have colleagues that couldn't attend today. Before we get started, just a few things to note. Closed captioning is available if you toggle that on in your toolbar on the bottom of your screen. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A function here. I will be monitoring it as we go, and we will try at different times to answer them as they come up, but we'll also be sure to answer any and all questions at the end of the presentation as well. And with that, I'm going to hand everything over to Claire to kick us off to talk about fundraising for this year.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so pleased to be back and sharing more with you all about the Mighty Cause platform. As Katie noted, our last webinar was really all about getting yourself set up on the platform, getting your organization's page ready for Critical Needs Alert in August. And today's call is really about exploring the fundraising tools we have available for you. Many of the things we talk through today will be familiar, but they may just look a little bit different. And that user experience for you is something I want to make sure you feel informed about and educated about as you head into your giving season. So without further delay, let's go ahead and jump into our fundraising tools webinar. All right, you already know Katie and you know me as well. We're both pleased to be here and be joined by you all this afternoon. Taking a look at our agenda, first we're going to be chatting through your donation form. We will chat through donations and how online gifts function on the Mighty Cause platform. We'll dive into some of those fundraising tools such as peer-to-peer fundraisers, opportunities, and a couple of other features you maybe have already found on your dashboard. It will be important for us to discuss reporting, as that's something you will be looking at closely post Critical Needs Alert. And just like I did during our last webinar, I will also go through a platform walkthrough of all of these tools once the slide presentation is complete. And as Katie mentioned, questions are welcome throughout the presentation. We will answer them as we go if it makes sense to respond in the moment. Otherwise, we will answer your questions at the end. All right. So in order to raise funds on the Mighty Cause platform, you have a donation form that your supporters will be able to utilize to submit their gifts to your organization. There are a couple of ways that you can customize your donation form, but I wanted to first share with you just an overall look at our checkout flow so that as I begin chatting through the different customizable options, you have a little bit of a reference to look back on. So when your donor comes to your organization's page and they select the donate button, they will be prompted to complete this donation form here. There are going to be dollar amounts for which that you can customize. You will also be able to include descriptors for those dollar amounts as a way to appeal to your donors. Once that dollar amount is selected, or perhaps the donor wants to customize how much money they're going to give to your organization, they can do so here in this open field. You will see a drop-down option for optional dedications and for optional donation visibility or anonymity. If both of those drop-downs are expanded, here is what you and your donors will see. So that dedication drop-down allows you to submit your gift on behalf of somebody else, as well as send an email to somebody informing them that you've submitted a gift on behalf of somebody. And then again, for your donation visibility, you have the option to hide your name, hide your donation amount, or to donate fully anonymously on the platform. Once your donor has completed the initial part of their donation form and they click continue to checkout, this is the next screen they'll be prompted with. At the top, they will have an option to opt in to covering your fees. If they hover over this little eye icon, your donors will be able to see what the fees are so that they can make an informed decision about covering fees if that's something they'd like to do. And then your online gifts can be paid for with credit card, Google Pay, PayPal, or Venmo is also an option as well. So this is just sort of that user experience your donors will go through once it becomes available for them. But let's chat about the ways that you, as the organization admin, could really tailor the donation form to your needs as an organization. On the left-hand side, when you're logged in, you'll find your dashboard. You'll toggle over to checkout, and that's going to expand a menu of different donation form options for you. So you can customize your donation amounts. You can enable optional dedications and designations. And you're also open to using Pittsburgh Gives question templates should they choose to provide any for you. So donation amounts. Once you are on your donation form editor, you can click the pencil icon to customize the dollar amount you want to prompt your donors to give by. So $200, $125, $50, $25. Perhaps you also want to allow your donors to give larger gifts or smaller gifts. And you can also include a description that shows the impact of that donor giving. So if I toggle over to one of the pencil icons, that's where I can tailor the suggested dollar amount and also include an optional description. This way, the donor knows for this organization, $200 is enough to fully vaccinate one dog or cat. So that's one way you can continue to give your donors some information about how their gifts will be used within your organization. Designations are also an optional tool you can add to your donation form. It doesn't exist on the donation form as a default, but it can be added by you. So for this example here, this organization is allowing donors to designate their gifts to a specific fund within the organization. So a general fund for gifts to be used across all operational needs within an organization. They've also opted to include an outdoor kennel project and a fresh toys program. So your donors will be able to decide what bucket they'd like their gift to fall into. If you do not choose to use the designation feature, the gifts will just come to you as sort of a general fund in a general bucket for you all to use at your own discretion. This is just an added layer of customization should you want to be more specific about how funds will be used over the next calendar year within your organization. Dedications are also something that you can opt to include on your donation form. There's going to be a addition sign on that donation form editor where you can include dedications. The drop down here will allow your donors to decide how they want to address their dedication, whom they'd like to address that dedication to, and if they'd like to include an email to notify that a dedication has been submitted on their behalf. Also, the Pittsburgh Foundation will have the ability to provide some pre-prompted questions for you to add on your form if they align with your strategy as an organization. These do not yet exist on the Critical Needs Alert platform, but it's something we encourage you to keep your eyes open for in the event that they do become available. So, for example, in what you're seeing here on the screen, this organization has opted to include a volunteer pledge question. The question reads, would you be interested in volunteering for this nonprofit? In this example, the host has created this question for the organizations to use if it aligns with their strategy. So take a look to see if any of those templated questions become available for you prior to August 4th as you consider ways to amplify your donation form and collect some maybe additional data that could be used within your organization. Once you've taken some time to finalize your donation form, add custom fields, make it align with your strategies as an organization, obviously we need to share our donation form link. So donors will be able to access both your organization's page through their specific Pittsburgh Give links, and you will also have the option to share your donation form directly through any sort of newsletter, email communication, or outreach you do within your communities. So at the top of the donation form editor, you will see a button next to the edit mode toggle that allows you to copy a direct donate link. And you can use this at your discretion to prompt donors to give to your cause. All right. Again, once your donation form is complete and donations go live for Critical Needs Alert, we will be able to accept online gifts from your supporters. As a reminder, here's what the checkout flow looks like for your supporters. At the top, they'll have the option to opt in to covering any fees, and then they will have the general wallet options here to complete their payment. I do want to note that when your donors or if your donors opt to cover their fees, they will see this value here increase by whatever that fee amount is. So there are a lot of different ways for your donors to be aware of what their final gift is going to look like for your organization. And again, your donors can pay by credit card, PayPal, Venmo, or Google Pay. And for the purposes of Critical Needs Alert this year, the donation minimum is $25. Okay, that is going to take us to the next section of our webinar today, which is where we're going to start diving into the fundraising tools that are available to you. Hopefully, some of you have already had the opportunity to explore and poke around the dashboard to see what's available. But we're going to cover some fundraising tools that we've tailored specifically for Critical Needs Alert this year. Well, no giving day is complete without peer-to-peer fundraisers. So this is something many of you may already be familiar with. But for those of you who are not quite sure what peer-to-peer fundraising is or need a little bit of a refresher, peer-to-peer fundraising is a technique where a nonprofit, that's you all, will leverage your existing supporters to bring in new donors by asking them to create a fundraiser and to share it with their social network for donations. So we are always going to encourage you to allow your donors to create peer-to-peer fundraisers because what it does is it expands the reach of your mission. It allows you to acquire new donors as peer-to-peer fundraisers help your organization expand that donor base, and it gives you access to individuals who may not yet know about your cause. Beyond just expanding your reach, it allows you to deepen your relationship with existing donors. So for supporters who have, you know, provided gifts to your organization for many years, it gives them another way to engage with your cause. So they can then invite their family, their friends, their community to also support a cause that they care deeply about. And ultimately, the goal is for us to support you in raising more funds for your organizations. With a limited amount of time to fundraise, many nonprofits will recruit their supporters to help them reach more people and raise more funds through the process of peer-to-peer fundraising. When you're going to create a peer-to-peer fundraiser, or when your supporters are going to create a peer-to-peer fundraiser, these are going to be known as individual fundraisers, and they're created by one person to support your cause. These images here are an example of what the peer-to-peer fundraising pages look like. They really closely resemble what you've already set up for your organization's page. So how do your supporters create their peer-to-peer fundraisers? Well, during our last webinar, we discussed how on your organization's page, there's an option to include the fundraise button on your page. That button is included by default because, again, peer-to-peer fundraising is a significant way to leverage your current group of supporters. So that fundraise button is already available, although you do have the option to turn it off. We encourage you to keep it on though. So your supporters and your donors will come to your organization's page and they will select the fundraise button here. Once they select the fundraise button, that's how they're going to create a peer-to-peer fundraiser. From there, the supporter is going to be prompted through what we call our fundraiser creation wizard, and it's going to take them through a step-by-step process to finalize their peer-to-peer fundraiser page. They can create it from scratch using our creation wizard, or you as the organization can actually create a template for them to leverage as well in the event that you want to have a very specific title for the peer-to-peer fundraiser, a specific image on all your peer-to-peer fundraiser. Maybe you want to already include some information in the about section of that peer-to-peer fundraiser. You all will be able to customize those templates for your supporters to use. So we will talk through what that looks like as well. So, peer-to-peer fundraising is great because it takes the fear out of fundraising for your donors and your supporters. If you create that fundraising template for them, they can just click it, use it, launch their peer-to-peer fundraiser, and they really don't have to do too much manual work on their own to put something really fabulous in place that will bring you more funds. So, creating that optional template is going to make it easier for your supporters to actually facilitate peer-to-peer fundraisers. Now, where does this live on your dashboard? How do you create a template? Where do we find our peer-to-peer fundraisers? On the left-hand side, we are going to be leaving the checkout flow dropdown and navigating up to our fundraising tools dropdown indicated by the lightning bolt symbol. Your fundraiser templates live here at the bottom of that menu. And this is where you can turn your templates on as an option for your supporters to use. This is where you can identify what you want the title of your peer-to-peer fundraisers to say. This is where you can include a goal for all of your peer-to-peer fundraisers that are going to be defaulted when the template is used, images and other items that you want to ensure match your branding, match your strategy, and match your mission. We know that all sorts of people are interested in engaging with our causes, but they may not always use the correct language or the correct imagery to support what your cause is. So this gives you a little bit of control over what your supporters are putting out there as it pertains to your cause. This allows you to make sure your organization says what you want it to say. You can add any information that you want to make sure donors are using during their peer-to-peer fundraising processes. Once you have your peer-to-peer fundraiser template set up, and once your supporters begin to create peer-to-peer fundraisers on behalf of your organization, it's important that you, as the organization admin, can access all of those fundraisers, see who has created fundraisers on your behalf, see how much they've raised, check in on those fundraisers to make sure, again, they match your branding or your mission. So that's going to reside underneath the campaigns button here. This is where you can review all of the fundraisers that have been created for your organization. And there's a couple of different things you can do on this screen here. For this example, you'll see, 4 fundraisers have been created. Here's the campaign name. I can see how much has already been raised by each individual fundraiser for my organization, when it was changed, when it was created. And if I toggle all the way over to the right and use those 3 dots, I have a little bit more control. I can actually delete a fundraiser. So if someone creates a fundraiser and they're really not aligning with your mission, you have the option to delete that. You can also directly message the individual who created the fundraiser in case you want to share something with them or ask them to update some information on their peer-to-peer fundraising page. Toggling discoverability allows you to actually hide that fundraiser from being visible on the Mighty Cause platform. And by clicking Campaign Dashboard, that actually is just going to bring you directly to that fundraising page. So you, as that organization admin, have some control over your peer-to-peer fundraisers as they're created. Additionally, there will be an option for you to set up an approval process if you'd prefer to do that as well. What that means is if you have 5 individuals who want to support your cause, they use the fundraising template, they create their peer-to-peer fundraiser. Before it goes live and before it can begin generating funds for your organization, you as the admin can approve it. So if you want to check through things first to make sure, again, it's aligned with your mission, that option is available in the platform as well. Just one more note about the peer-to-peer fundraisers, just as it pertains to dollars coming in, dollars being displayed. The peer-to-peer fundraisers will display total dollars raised on their pages, but none of the funds are actually filtering through the peer-to-peer fundraising page. They're all going directly to your organization's page. So as the peer-to-peer fundraiser receives a $10 gift, that $10 gift is reflected on their totals and also on your totals on the organization page. So just being aware that the dollars projected on the peer-to-peer fundraiser pages are also projected on your overall totals because really what they're doing is raising funds for you all. Katie, before I switch into another fundraising tool, is there anything we could pause for here as peer-to-peer fundraisers go?
Um, don't currently have peer-to-peer fundraising questions, but I do have a couple questions that relate back to that donation link. Um,
Sure, let's take a look if you think it would be relevant.
uh, we have a question of, is there a way to access the direct donation link now? And how would we know that what our specific link would be as we are scheduling our communication?
That's a great question. So, yes, the donation link is available. You can, if you want to finalize your donation form today and have that link available for your communication, it's there to be copied, but donations are not open. So, you can use that link if you click on it. If you open up a new window or a new tab in your browser and you actually paste that link in, it's not really going to show you anything. And there's going to be a little message at the bottom that says donations are not yet eligible. The link is still the right link. Nothing is going towards it though, just because donations are not yet on.
And then we have another question related to that is, when will the link be operational for donations for this event? And is it open for 24 hours on August 4th or less or more? So correct me if I'm wrong, Claire, but I believe because we have early donations as an option, the Thursday prior, which I believe is July 30th, that donation link will go live on the 30th through 11:59 on August 4th.
Let me just confirm that's what I have on my end. But yes, I have early donations going live on July 30th. So that's when donations will be turned on for your organizations to begin receiving gifts. And that will last through the end of Critical Needs Alert.
Perfect. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. I know another question that's now about peer-to-peer fundraising. If you set a goal amount for a peer-to-peer fundraising page, does it have to be the same amount as your one-day overall goal? For example, could an organization have a goal of $8,000 while their individual fundraiser shows a personal goal of $100?
Absolutely. Yes. So you can have an overall organization goal of $8,000. And then if you want to set the threshold for your peer-to-peer fundraiser goals at 100, because $100 feels a little bit more accessible or digestible to supporters, then you can have that set in the template for your campaigns. All
I
right,
think that's it for
let's
now.
move and groove onto the next item. We are going to talk about opportunities. So, something we always encourage on the Mighty Cause platform is for you all as organizations to highlight the events that you're putting on in your community to help raise funds for Critical Needs Alert. Um, so we use the term opportunities, but really what this is referring to is a calendar event that you are facilitating to help support your organization during the giving campaign. So the opportunities tool, it lives again under your fundraising menu here, and it allows you to share new and ongoing volunteer opportunities, calendar events, or manage current opportunities that allow you to expand your reach quickly and easily. Opportunities will be automatically added to your organization page under a new section called Get Involved. So if you do not have opportunities set up, there is no Get Involved section on your organization's page. The moment you create an opportunity, that section does become visible on your organization's page as a default so that visitors to your organization's profile can see all of the great things you're going to be doing in their community. They can perhaps register for an event that you're setting up. They can perhaps come and support an in-person event that is associated with Critical Needs Alert to help rally the community. Um, Part of this tool also allows you to see individuals who have registered for the event. If you have a third party like Evite or Eventbrite link to your event, you can include that here for your supporters to have access to. Once we dive into the tool during our walkthrough, you'll really be able to see kind of the capacity of our opportunities tool to see if it works for something your organization is doing. So in this example here, you can see for this organization, they have dog yoga, they have an online event for social media volunteering, and maybe just an opportunity to be a kennel buddy for their cause. Another tool we have, which is going to be fabulous for those of you who are raising funds throughout the year, for some of the smaller organizations who maybe have less capacity for a true CRM tool within their organizations, Mighty Cause has one built in for you that we encourage you to leverage in coming giving seasons. So essentially, anybody who has donated to your cause in the past, created a peer-to-peer fundraiser for your cause, interacted as a volunteer, if they're associated with your organization on the platform, their information is already going to reside within this contacts tool. So you can filter by different tags. You can create customized groups based on donor type. You can track external or internal communication with your donors through this tool. You can also do bulk messaging to your donors through this tool. You can message individually to donors through this tool. So some of you probably already have CRM systems in place outside of the platform, but for those of you who've always maybe struggled with keeping a concise list of your donors, knowing who's given in years prior but haven't given in the most recent years, and want to build a more robust customer relationship with or a support relationship with, this tool will allow you to do that. You'll be able to see specifically how much a donor has given to you over the years, if they've set up peer-to-peer fundraisers, and really just specific data that will allow you to strengthen your relationship with your supporters. And the final fundraising tool I'm going to chat through today are our automated emails. So we really try to do a lot of the work for you. And so we've created 3 emails that you can turn on or off, depending on if they're useful to your cause. And we've created some language for you. The 3 emails that we have set up are peer-to-peer creation messages. So once a donor creates a peer-to-peer campaign, if you toggle this auto email on, a message is going to be sent to them right away, thanking them for their support, thanking them for creating a fundraiser on behalf of your organization. And again, it's just that immediate thank you, that immediate relationship builder, that immediate relationship strengthener already built into the platform. So you don't have to keep a running list of, all right, who do we need to send an email to? Who created a peer-to-peer fundraiser that we need to thank? Turn this on and it'll do the work for you. We also have a welcome message auto email you can leverage. So if a new donor gives to your cause, again, an immediate email goes out to them, thanking them for their support, welcoming them to your cause, sharing more about your mission, encouraging them to sign up for your newsletter. That's also available to you. And then the yearly donation reminder is something you can leverage in coming giving season. So once you toggle this on, it will be an auto email to your donors to remind them to give again for the coming seasons. Within each of these auto emails, you can edit the content. So Mighty Cause has created language for you, but you can edit it to make sure it matches your mission and matches your branding. You can also update the image that is included and some additional like fluid features, right? So if you want to include the donor name, if you want to include some other details that are coming through that donor profile, that can be embedded here into these emails. I see a question here about how does the platform determine who a new donor is? So, a unique donor or a new donor is identified by email address. So, if the system is recognizing a gift given by an individual who has not yet given to your cause using a different email, our system will recognize that as a new donor. We do recognize that people have multiple email addresses. So perhaps they gave in, 2024 using, Joe Schmo at gmail.com. And maybe this year they're giving a gift under Joe Schmo1 at gmail.com. Our system will recognize that as a new donor. So just be aware of kind of the nuance there.
I will also, correct me again if I'm not clear, but we have in the system already donor information from the last three critical needs alerts. So that will also, so some of that information is already in the systems. So there are established donors for each organization already there. So that will also help with identifying new folks,
That's
correct?
correct. So we have 3 years of previous donor data in each of your organization's pages, which is already populated into your contacts tool. That's where those names are coming from. And then our system will cross-check, as gifts come in, cross-check your current existing donor list. And if it doesn't recognize a duplicate email, it's going to assume that's a new donor.
I do have one other question
Mhm.
quickly regarding peer-to-peer fundraisers. Can donors set up peer-to-peer pages ahead of time, or can they only begin to be created on July 30th for early giving?
You can create your peer-to-peer fundraiser pages now. So once your organization is approved to participate, once your organization sets up their profile, that's available for you to begin sharing with your supporters. I think the sooner you can get the word out about your engagement with Critical Needs Alert, and the sooner you can prompt your donors to pre-create their peer-to-peer fundraisers before the giving event, yeah, have at it.
All right. Oh, I have one more that just popped up. And for the yearly donation reminder, will that go out based on last year's donors, or will that be available next year for this year's donors?
That's a really great question, Megan. Thank you. So this is a new tool on the Mighty Cause platform. So I actually don't know the answer to that question. That's something I can bring back to my team, let Katie know, and then she can relay that information to you all either through like your FAQ. She can reach out directly. I'll let her kind of handle how to get that info back to you. But I'll make a note now that we would like to know, can that apply for this year's giving season?
And I'll make sure to communicate that. I send my weekly emails, and we'll make sure it's also on our somewhere on the website so you can all access it there as well.
Great. Awesome. Let's talk about reports. Once you begin receiving gifts, you're going to want to know where they're coming from, how much you're receiving, what gifts are coming from which donors, and how to reach out to your supporters post-event. Again, left-hand side dashboard, we're now going to depart from the fundraising tools drop down and bring ourselves to reports. When you click reports, the very first one on that menu is going to be donations. And this is going to be your most comprehensive source of truth in terms of what gifts have come through your organization page. And it will allow you to view all information associated with each donation. You can filter your data by specific time periods. So, in the event that you wanted to just look at early giving and wanted to create a custom time period of July 30th through August 3rd and just look at your early giving gifts, you could do that. You could also sort over here by campaign type. And the drop down will show you Critical Needs Alert 2026, Critical Needs Alert 2025, Critical Needs Alert 2024. And then the donation report will just filter to those specific giving events. So that can be helpful if you're looking for an overall total. Um, Donation type will allow you to toggle between online gifts or any gifts imported by the host themselves. You will have your net online dollars, your number of donations received, and then you'll have the donor name, how much, when that gift came in, if it was a one-time gift or set up as a recurring gift. You can also identify whether or not that gift came to your organization through a peer-to-peer fundraiser, or if it came to your organization directly through that donate button. And then always you'll have the option to toggle to these three dots here for some more details or a more in-depth look at those gifts. Um, top of this screen here is that cloud icon with the arrow where you can download your donation report into a C or an Excel spreadsheet. So sometimes post-event, organizations will reach out to our support team. How do I download my report? How do I pull these numbers? Just a friendly reminder, it is here for you, and you'll just need to toggle to the button that says download. So just a friendly reminder that that's accessible to you all as the organizations, and you don't have to wait for us or wait for Katie to provide that data for you. You can look at this as soon as early giving begins, as soon as you get your first gift, and kind of keep tabs on what your donations are looking like. Another report we have is called the retention report. This is especially helpful for you to see who has given in years prior, but didn't return to give another gift. It allows you to reconnect with former donors. The red dot next to each name basically indicates this donor did not return to give another gift. If you see a green icon, that means this donor has given in subsequent years. So it really allows you to tease out who is staying engaged with the work that you're doing and who maybe do you need to re-engage with the work that you're doing. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my slides here and hop into our platform demo so we can take a look at these items in real time. Give me a quick moment to shift my screen. All righty. Share. Oops. All right, this is Black Cat Society on our demo site. Um, This is what it looks like when you log into your organization's page. Hopefully you're familiar with this view now. Again, on the left-hand side, we're going to start by looking at our checkout flow. We want to make sure our donation form is ready to go. I'm going to click checkout, come to donation form, and now this is where I can see all of those different editing features we've discussed previously. So clicking on the pencil icon here, this is where you can edit your suggested dollar amount. Again, the minimum for critical needs alert is $25. You can expand this out to create a description. So in this case, $15 pays for 1 month of flea and tick prevention for the Black Cat Society. So consider if you want to include additional descriptors to your dollar amount so your donors know how their funds are being used. This is where you can remove your dedication section. Maybe you don't want your donors to have the option to donate on behalf of others. If you choose to include that again, you can just select the add dedication option here. And same with designations. So adding designations, we have our outdoor kennel project, Fresh Toys program. But let's say this year I want to edit and add another designation such as, let's see here, leash fund. Maybe if I could spell leash. Maybe your organization is looking to raise more money to secure leashes and harnesses for the animals within your adoption center. You can also elect to designate certain funds as the default. And then you could always click the trash can to remove this section as a whole. You will notice this add a section box here. This is where any questions that the Pittsburgh Foundation creates will generate for you to use as options. So for this demo here, the host has included an optional question that says, would you prefer working with dogs or cats? You could add that. You could also unpublish this section. And maybe you want to add your own question. So you have the option to also include your own questions to your donors that will help you collect some data on those that are giving gifts to your organization. We just encourage you to be cautious with adding too many questions, right? I think we want to limit button fatigue or question fatigue with our donors. Getting them to the finish line of actually submitting that gift is really our goal. So be cognizant of the questions you're adding, make sure that they're intentional and will be used, And we just want to limit any friction between that donor selecting a $100 gift and actually entering their payment information and clicking submit so that you all can receive those gifts as well. So that is your donation form. Here is where you can copy that direct donation link. As soon as I click the button, it informs me that link is on my clipboard to be used and to be shared. Let me see if donations are on for this. Okay, so for this example, the donations are on. So the link did bring me directly to the form. Again, if you share the link now, it's going to display a message saying donations are not yet eligible. Okay, let's see here. Online gifts. We talked through those payment options there in their wallet, credit card, Google Pay, PayPal, and Venmo. Let's take a look at some of the fundraising tools we chatted through. So the first one was that fundraiser template. Actually, if I go to Black Cat Society, and I'm going to look at this as if I am a supporter, here's that fundraise button. If a supporter clicks fundraise, this is going to prompt them to create that peer-to-peer fundraiser. I would select get started. And then I have the option to use the template provided by the organization. If I opt out, I'm going to get a bare bones fundraising page for me to customize. And if I opt in and launch that page manager, it is going to generate the items the organization has already included. And in this example, the organization has opted to have a review approval process in place. So this is telling the donor, hey, you can create your peer-to-peer fundraiser page, but just letting you know the organization has to approve it first. We say, got it. Now, here's the title that they've opted for me to use, the image, as well as that story section. Now, how you create a template for your organization. You'll come to fundraiser templates. You'll select create on the top right-hand corner. And this is where you can now identify the specifics of those peer-to-peer fundraisers you'd like to have in place. Title, goal, images, stories, and then you create the template. You'll notice here there are two templates in place. One of them is for board members to be maybe using. I can use the star to identify which template is prompted via the creation wizard. So you can only have one template available at a time for your supporters to use. And then you can copy the link directly to that template. So if you're sending out an e-blast specifically about peer-to-peer fundraising and you say, please create a peer-to-peer fundraiser for us, you can copy the link to your template, send it to your supporters, and that's a direct access for them to create that peer-to-peer page. Deleting and editing the template is also an option there. You've sent out your e-blast. All of your supporters are creating peer-to-peer fundraisers now. You want to take a look at them. We'll go to campaigns. You'll notice there are 31 campaigns or peer-to-peer fundraisers created for this organization. You will see the campaign name here. You can see how much they've raised, when it was last edited, when it was created. And again, the three dots on the right-hand side allow you to review that page, go directly to that campaign, hide the campaign, message the creator of the campaign, or delete it. Top here, add a process. This is where you're going to turn on or off that approval process. Now, if you turn the approval process on, you do have to be responsible for going in and approving the peer-to-peer fundraisers, or else they're not going to be visible or functioning. So just taking a moment to acknowledge what kind of organization admin are you? Do you want to approve one at a time, or do you just want it to be an open option for supporters that doesn't require any approval on your end? As a reminder, they can always be deleted. So you would toggle that campaign content review on or off and select save. Let's see here. Let's just click on this fundraiser. So this is one of the peer-to-peer fundraisers that has been created on behalf of Black Cat Society. You can see how much has been raised. Your supporters will be able to update that goal here on the screen, hide the number of donors. They can include the use of the funds if there are any designations, giving activities. So these peer-to-peer fundraiser pages, they pretty much mimic the general organization's page as well. All right. Let's take a look at those automated emails we talked about. So here are the three options for you. Toggle button is what enables them. Edit content is what allows you to update this to match your branding. So you can change the sender name, which is typically going to be defaulted as your organization name. It's also going to be defaulted to the email address you've set up on your organization page. Email subject, here's where you can use those fluid variables if you want to include specific items in your subject or in your email. This is where you can update the content of your email. You can include call to action buttons, images, links, bullet points, emojis. And then this right-hand side is just a preview of that email here. And then you can always send a test email to yourself to make sure what's going out on an automatic basis is matching your expectations. Peer-to-peer welcome message and yearly donation reminder. So take a look at those, see if those align with your strategy. Here is going to be our contacts tool. It does live outside of the fundraising tools dropdown. And again, it's going to pre-populate a list of all your supporters that have been migrated into the Mighty Cause platform. First name, last name, email, phone number, and then any tags that you choose to create. So you can see here that different years have been created as tags, donor tags. Really, the options are endless for how you'd like to tease out some of these categories for your donors. Properties, these are all of the different fields that you can include in your view here. You can import a list of contacts that you already have to be included on the Mighty Cause platform. So if you're liking the structure of this contacts tool and you actually want to use it as your main CRM database, you can upload what you already have existing externally into this platform. And you can also add contacts one at a time. I can send bulk messages out to my supporters. If I click on an individual here, this is going to open their, high level or high level look at the specific donor. So they've donated $20. They've given once. If this was a more regular donor, obviously those values would look different. Data, anything that donor has included in their profile. So birth date, if you want to be sending birthday messages to your supporters as a way to strengthen that relationship, you could do so. All of their different transactions and when those transactions were completed, if they've completed or created campaigns, and then any communication you might have. You can also message individuals through the platform, and you can also download these data points as well. Filter here. This is where you can think about those different tags. So go ahead and explore all of the different ways to filter out your donor supporter list here. Let's see. Let's chat through opportunities. So again, opportunities are your calendar events, your online seminars, your volunteer opportunities that are related to Critical Needs Alert. Add an opportunity on the top right-hand corner. Where is it happening? What kind of event is it? Do you have an external URL for registration or an external link to, an Eventbrite page that gives more details about the opportunity? Details about where it's happening. So explore all of the different ways that you could leverage this tool. If I'm going to Black Cat Society and I go back to their organizations page, opportunities, I see that they've got quite a few of opportunities happening. It looks like they've mostly passed, but let's take a look to see if they live on their page. Get involved. Yep. So down at the bottom, this is where all of your events are going to populate. That way a supporter can see, oh, look, they are having Bark Social Dog Yoga. I definitely want to attend that. So you can promote that here. Reports. Again, that first donation report is your primary source of truth for your giving event. It's automatically going to default to the last 30 days, but you can tease out different time filters, sort by campaign type. So if I wanted to support by, a different campaign, I will be able to see all of the funds generated for that specific event. Um, Again, download is right here at the top of the screen. And you'll be able to see that donor detail here as well. Your retention report. So for the event or for this particular demo, these two donors have returned to give another gift. But let's see if I expanded this to the last 12 months. Okay. This organization is doing a fabulous job retaining its donors. Again, those red dots on what you might see in your retention report, that's going to indicate donors who have not given another gift. I can select this little envelope icon and send them a message to re-engage them. And just some retention data here that is already calculated through our platform. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause here. We've got about 9 minutes left. Katie, anything new in the Q&A?
Doesn't look like it. Happy to give a couple more minutes if people have any other questions. Um, feel free to put those in the Q&A. I will also say, as a note for folks, we mentioned this in our last webinar, but we do really want the Pittsburgh Gives site to be a one-stop sort of shop or information source for you all. So we do have available under the For Donors tab at the top, there is a page that is a peer-to-peer toolkit, and it sort of walks folks through step by step as well how to set those up, and also provides some suggested language for social media posts, etc. So you also have the ability to send folks to that page if they do have questions and additional supports as well. So yeah, I'll plug the site.
Great. What else do you all have questions about? Once you begin exploring these fundraising tools and get used to how to leverage them on the platform, typically that's when your questions may arise. We always encourage you to reach out to our support team. Let me actually go back to that part of our slides because I want to give you our support team information again for you to reference. Also please note there are other tools available on the platform, but what we've discussed today is really what we're encouraging for the purposes of Critical Needs Alert. So if you have questions about other tools, check in with Katie, check in with me, our support team, to see if there are things we're encouraging for this event. And as a reminder, you can email our support team at support@mightycause.com. We have, resource guides online that we encourage you to visit. So you can go to support.mightycause.com and you can just type in a keyword like opportunities, and then you'll get a couple of different articles about how to use the opportunities tool. And then again, mightycause.com/guide is another area for you to go for additional help.
And we do have links to that resource center again on the website. We'll always default folks to, if you don't remember how to access something, we've made sure to link that multiple places. I will say I have reviewed that guide and have found it really helpful as I was working on the site myself. And in my experience, you can't hurt anything on the site when you're building things out. And it's pretty user-friendly so that you can sort of play around and try things out to see what they look like and how they feel in terms of the experience of it. We do have a question. For early giving, is there anything different that donors need to know about this? Will their donation look any different than if they were to donate on the actual day? Don't believe so, Claire. I think it would look about the same.
Yeah, so they're going to receive the same receipt. It's going to look the same in their bank account. It's going to look the same on your donation report. It's going to be tagged for the giving event. The only thing that will be different is the date will be submitted earlier than August 4th, and that's just fine. That's how early giving works. So, nothing in particular you need to be educating your donors on.
And I will say, early gifts given during the early giving period are still eligible for those incentive dollars. There's no restriction beyond gifts being between 25 and that first $1,000 are eligible. So they can give on the 30th and it will still count. All right. As Claire mentioned, if anyone has any other questions after this, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll be sharing the recording as soon as we have that uploaded. And otherwise, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us.